Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a short little knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Kansept Eaglestrike. Wow, there's a lot going on here. That must be really expensive, right? Actually, no. This is the kind of crazy version of this knife aesthetically, but the standard version of this knife is simply titanium and S35VN. It is a well-designed knife. It's definitely a design we've seen before in a profile. We've seen it before. Where it stands out is its price tag, $169. That is a very, very good price tag. This is a Chinese production knife, but it's made very, very well by Kansept. It's a crossbar locking knife, so it's not really doing anything super duper special, but the price is hyper competitive. For that reason alone, combined with the safe design and the high quality manufacturing, that's going to make it recommendable pretty much by default. It might be slightly bigger than some people would want, but this is just a good buy. Now, if you want the really crazy look, it kind of looks like Damascus, right? We have the lightning ano or the plasma ano. Let me shine that up just a little bit. But yeah, it's not titanium Damascus, just a plasma ano, and then they have their really nice looking Damascus. It's a 9CR, 10CR combo, so we're not looking at, insanely premium blade materials, but for $10 more, you can get a blade that will function basically like VG10. It just looks really, really cool. So that's great, right, if you want that. But the standard version is going to have the better steel, and it's $10 less. I will link this knife down in the description. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Let's go ahead and measure it here. This is not going to require super complicated anything. It's pretty straightforward. 8¼ inches. Blade length is 3.75 and cutting edge is 3.5. Really nice ratios there. Let's do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and Others. Up against the 8010 and my own Excalibur. Pretty similar in size. It's about 1/4 inch shorter than either of these knives, so definitely a full-size knife. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. It's pretty much exactly the same overall length as the PM2. Definitely bigger than the Para 3. And then finally, let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian. Or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How's the action on this knife? It's a crossbar locking knife, and they did a good job with it. I'm not sure what Kansept calls their own crossbar locking knives, but they function pretty much like everybody else's. So this knife, I'm taking a look here. Yeah, it does run on bearings. So your Omega spring strength is, I'd say, a little stronger than medium. It's not quite as heavy as I've ever felt it, but it's good, feels solid. It's easy to disengage with minimal stick, right? Very, very smooth. So many people at this point are just familiar with these locking systems. It's fine. I like the texturing. It's almost like basically a thumb stud that they've got in there. So it's very, very friendly to disengage. And the thumb stud itself on the blade is also very easy to engage with. It's nice. And with it having the full steel liners and titanium on top of it, the entire knife just feels that much more solid. I mean, dollar for dollar, that's probably one of the better feeling, crossbar locks that I've experienced, and I've experienced a lot of them. But yeah, it's a good value. I'm not sitting here saying that they're doing something special in terms of design. I know people are bored with this locking system. But sometimes when the price is really good and you're still getting premium materials, some people are still willing to make an exception for something that they've seen a million times. And this, for a lot of people will be that exception. It's got that kind of, there's a little bit of Sabenza in there. I think there might be a little bit of Les George in there. There's a little bit, but I mean, we're looking at so many. Here's your designer logo there, but we're looking at so many classic, tried and true elements between the blade and the handle. Right, you're bound to see countless makers in this design. So, anyways, let's go ahead and do carry profile thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's a little bit thicker. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. This is not a knife that I would call cumbersome. It's definitely a full-size knife, and it's going to be a little heavy with the added steel, but it's not going to take up any more room in your pocket than something like the PM2. Now, on the note of weight, like I said, materials here, steel liners, titanium scales, titanium backspacer, titanium pocket clip, and then you have either your 9CR, 8CR, I'm sorry, 9CR, 10CR, Damascus, or your S35VN. So I don't think the weight's going to vary that much. I bet you this is in the high, it's at least in the mid fives. Yeah, 5.3 ounces. Not quite as heavy as I thought. I bet you anything it's slightly butt heavy, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. A little bit, not bad. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use in this channel. It's pretty big. Is that a T15? No, but I bet it's a T10. It looks like the pivot is a T10, and then the body screws are going to be pivot's a T10, and these are going to be T8, which is nice. Now, not hard to get into. Crossbar locks are not super fun to take apart and put back together. Far from impossible, but just know if it's your first time, it's a little bit of a pain in the ass. So just have a place to put your hardware. I'd tape the blade off because it's easy to slip and get frustrated. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. Let's measure the blade stock thickness and get into the meat and potatoes here. I bet that's 125. No, 116 thousandths. Okay, time for the meat and potatoes. This is pretty straightforward, guys. We have a good ergonomic profile, a slight thumb ramp. Slight makes me think it's not the Sebenza, but I think it's the. Is it the blade on the, what do they call that, the Spartan Harzy? No. There's something in there. You guys, you can tell me down in the comment section, but nice lock-in. Very good index finger position relative to the lock-in position with your thumb. Hammer grip is good. Edges are nicely knocked down. A little bit of a ledge here, but it's still not sharp. Blade has, I don't know if you want to call it a spur point. It's a drop point with a heavy swedge, and then we drop down to a reasonable cutting edge, about, I'd call it medium thickness. Let you guys take a look at that plunge grind there. Your fit and finish on this knife is very, very good. Kansept has only continued to get better. And honestly, in this tier, which is high-end Chinese production, like premium Chinese production, they're probably still offering some of the best dollar for dollar value alongside Kaiser. They just do it really well. Now you can pay more money and get a knife that is, it's more complex, maybe has more premium materials, maybe has some more interesting, more effort, right? But when it comes to like titanium and S35VN and trusting that it is in fact S35VN and properly heat treated, which it is, Kansept does a good job, right? That your edge is going to be properly sharpened from the factory. The fit and finish is going to be good. Yeah, you can find some weird stuff on some of those weird sites that's like, yeah, it's titanium and S35VN. It's like $80. I wouldn't trust any of that crap. As far as stuff that I would trust, Kansept has probably some of the best dollar for dollar knives in this tier, this specific tier of high-end Chinese production knives utilizing materials like this. Very, very good. I wish the liners were nested. That would be cool, and it would shave down a little bit of the weight, but it's okay. That's part of why they're able to charge what they're charging here. I also wish that everybody who is building knives with crossbar locks would find a way to implement a coil spring. I've said this many times. If there's an issue with it, it's likely because Benchmade has it patented with their thing that they used once in the Anthem and then never used again. Thanks, Benchmade. But, I mean, Microtech made a pretty similar system. It's not a crossbar lock, but it's got a coil spring, and it's way, way more reliable. That would be cool. I wish all companies would do that, because the crossbar lock itself is a very, very good locking system and very reliable outside of the Omega springs. So implementing a coil spring would make them all infinitely better. But there's got to be a reason. I mean, part of the reason why is they're just cheap. It's cheap to do, right? But if it's more than that, my guess is somebody's got a patent that's hard to work around. But that's okay. It's still plenty good. Got a little backspacer back here. Looks good. This is a confusing knife in that it is an ambidextrous locking system, and they have chosen to use a pocket clip that can only be mounted on one side of the knife. That's a huge L, Kansept. You got this knife priced so well. so many left-handed people would be, happy to buy this. You guys have to, if you're going to use a crossbar lock, you got to have a symmetrical pocket clip and a mounting position on the other side. Definitely. But for right-handed people, yeah, you're good to go. Lock up, stop pin in its traditional position. No blade play up, down, left, or right. Subtle stick, not much. It'll go away. No up and down play, no pivot lash is what I'm trying to say. Smooth and consistent in here. I can feel the bearings, but I don't expect it to be absolutely buttered glass smooth at this price. And honestly, as long as we're doing this, yeah, it's plenty smooth. Snap into the closed position. Omega Springs do have good tension on this guy, and we are perfectly centered. $169 for the base version of this knife. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's not a special design. It's not a unique design. There's nothing super duper. There's no collector element here. It is a good knife made with premium materials for a better price versus the other, the competition that I actually trust. People always try to tell me all the time, check out this cool Amazon brand or this AliExpress brand or this. I found this on this weird website and they said it was titanium and M390 was only $90. I don't trust any of that. Don't trust any of it. After we had a few people in the community HRC test some of that stuff. If you are looking at S35VN and titanium and a full-size knife and it's sub $100, I bet you anything it is the worst heat treatment. If it actually is that blade material that they are that they're showcasing there, the reason they were able to charge so little for it is because it's not properly heat treated. We've seen a lot of that stuff come back pretty low, so yeah, I don't trust it. It's not worth getting a good deal on it. I'd rather pay, in this case, $170 for something that I know is going to be heat treated properly than $100 for something that might as well be titanium, a pivot, and a gum wrapper for a blade. It's just not worth it. But this is very cool. Sorry, it's a weird tangent there. This is very cool. It's recommendable. Not super special. Not something that people should be beating down doors for. But if you're considering buying this, I would say it's a good buy. It's a good value. That's going to be it today, guys. Links in the description for the Eaglestrike. I hope I said that at the beginning. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.